Welcome everybody to the April 2025 Unwrapping Chocolatey webinar. Today we're going to be unwrapping PSAppDeployToolkit in Chocolatey, how you can manage your existing PSAppDeployToolkit applications and bring them over as Chocolatey packages as you maybe begin your journey with Chocolatey, or maybe you just want to augment PSAppDeployToolkit with Chocolatey. Whatever you want to do, we're here to help you. I'm one of your hosts for today, Stephen Valdinger. I am the Customer Solutions Manager here at Chocolatey Software. I make sure that the solutions engineering team and the support teams both are on hand to answer your questions, help you out with any issues that you may be having, et cetera, et cetera. That's my role here. And I'm joined today by my colleague, James. James, if you will introduce yourself.
Sure, I'm James Ruskin. I am a solutions engineer at Chocolatey, and I'm a little bit jet lagged, so I will apologize if I just look a bit tired. Actually, quite normal for me
Yes.
to look a bit tired, so I'm not quite sure why I'd apologize. But I guess I like apologizing. Maybe that's it.
Yeah, so for folks unaware, we are just coming back from the PowerShell and DevOps Global Summit last week in Seattle, Washington. So still a little bit of recovering from late nights with good friends and lots of good content last week. So I will excuse a little bit of jet lag. Totally cool. Totally cool. So yeah, why are we here, right? We've alluded to it a little bit in the intro already, but we're really here to talk about PSF Deploy Toolkit applications, how you're using them today, and helping you to leverage those same applications inside of Chocolatey packages. Now, as mentioned, there might be several reasons you want to do that. Maybe you're looking at Chocolatey as a replacement for PS App Deploy Toolkit, and you don't want to lift and shift everything into the Chocolatey ecosystem all at once. Because a PS App Deploy Toolkit application is considerably different to the look and feel and the shape of a chocolatey package, right? They do quite a bit of the same thing, uh, but how you handle one is very different from how you handle the other. But thankfully, Chocolatey makes it really, really easy to where you don't have to reinvent the wheel right away. You're able to really slowly migrate over to Chocolatey if you need to, or maybe you're looking at Chocolatey as a way to augment that PS App Deploy Toolkit stuff. Maybe you've got some apps that do really, really well at installing and uninstalling at as PS App Deploy Toolkit apps,
Yeah,
but you want to
maybe
do
you've
some
worked hard to.
configuration. Yeah. Go ahead, James. Sorry, I cut you off.
Oh, I was just going to say, maybe you've worked hard at maintaining an awesome selection of PSADT things, and you just want to try deploying those with Chocolatey or supplement some of
Yeah.
Chocolatey's features with that. So, using the perfect combination of the two sets of features, like CCM and PSADT as deferral feature, which we'll go into in a minute, or
Yeah.
any combo of those.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's really one of the most powerful things about this whole webinar today is just the sheer amount of flexibility you get out of marrying the two things together, right? Um, so we're going to dive in and really start at the very beginning of how you would approach migrating from, or maybe not migrating is the right word, but leveraging a PSF Deploy Toolkit application inside of a Chocolatey package. And the way that we're going to do that is through the use of a feature of Chocolatey called templates. Now, Chocolatey templates allow you to predefine the shape of a package as you're building that particular package. You might have a set of applications that need to install with a very specific set of parameters, but you don't want to type those parameters in your scripts over and over and over again every single time, right? That's something that could be templated so that anytime you need to create an application with that shape, you just supply the template. And Chocolatey has a really, really rich templating engine built into it, which allows you to have really as many templates as you want for as many things as you want. You can get really, really complex and in the weeds really, really quickly, or you can keep it super simple. And that's what we're going to do today. It's really not earth-shattering stuff that we're doing to make a PSADT app work inside of Chocolatey. But there does need to be a very specific shape to the package to be successful. So we've got a lot of resources put together today. So I'm just going to open those up in VS Code so that we can go through them together. And I'm going to get rid of VS Code's authoring stuff and the setup. And the first thing that we're going to talk about is that template, is the shape of that package. Now I've got a couple of templates in here. We're really going to focus on one, and then the PSADT4 large. We'll speak to it, but we're not really going to dive into it too much, just in an effort to save a little bit of time.
Stevie, just as a thing, we've got a
Yep.
request. If you don't mind zooming in a bit.
Yes, I was just going to ask, is the color okay? Is the zoom okay? Because I can change it to light mode if folks prefer that as well. So if you want to keep an eye on the chat and let me know,
Of
I
course.
am more than happy to do that as well. But let's dive into this PS80T V4 template. Now, this template predefines the shape of the metadata that will be included as part of this package, and that metadata is inside of this new spec file. And you'll notice that it's relatively bare bones, but there's enough information there to be more or less dangerous, right? It gets the point across. So Chocolatey is going to provide us with some of this information, and then we are going to provide some of the information to the template at runtime. And these replacement values, so you'll see here that we've got package name lower wrapped with a couple of square brackets.
Before we go much further,
Anytime.
we have got a request for a light mode. If you don't mind just dropping that over.
Oh, perfect.
Sorry.
Awesome. So let me see. Control Shift P because I'm on Windows now. And then color theme. Let's look for light mode plus. That looks good. Is that okay? We good there? Let's go with that one. All right. So these template values, double square brackets with something in the middle. So if we look at line 5, package name lower, when you run the Choco new command and then provide the package ID, so Choco new Bob, Bob is the value of package name lower. So that's going to be replaced inside of here. So that one's going to be handled for us automatically. And then the other information that we are going to provide is that package version, a title, and just to be a little bit fun, I've added this organization one in here as well. Now, in your organization, the authors here is typically authors is used for the manufacturer of the software. So if you're installing like Mozilla Firefox, the author would be Mozilla, or Google Chrome, the author would be Google. Owners would probably be the more appropriate tag to put in here to say that, hey, this is owned by, Acme Corp or whatever. But for the sake of argument and example, we're using authors, organization, that's going to be your company name, and that's just what we're using for our demos today. Um, Everything else in here is pretty bog standard stuff. We've got some tags, we've got a summary, we've got a description. One thing is missing though, James, right? We don't have any dependencies defined inside of this template. We
That's true.
have to leave a little bit
Yeah, I mean,
out,
so
right?
you'd hope
Like,
that most valid PowerShell app deploy toolkit packages will be installing all the things that they need. So,
Yeah.
if you then had a bunch of dependencies added on there, you might end up colliding with some stuff. So,
Hmm.
though we've got this automatic conversion in place, it's definitely better that you be a little bit mindful if you want to go and add dependencies there later.
Yeah. Yeah. So Chocolatey is really, really good at managing Chocolatey packages because that's what it does, right? Chocolatey doesn't manage software. Chocolatey manages a Chocolatey package. So if a package installs more than one application, you can it'll work, but you might run into some funny stuff down the road when you go to upgrade things or uninstall things. So it's better if you were to, instead of having the PS app deploy toolkit thing, like this is one of the situations where I would consider a PSADT app that installs a bunch of stuff as a complex one. And what I would want to see happen is you break that down into individual apps as chocolatey packages and then make that dependency chain inside of the new spec file here so that if you're installing, say, a set of developer tools like uh, I don't know, let's just pick on VS Code. Um, you've got a dependency on maybe like a VC Redist or Git or something else. You're allowing Chocolatey to do the work of satisfying those dependencies rather than just having that PSADT app fire everything in all in one go. You're not going to have a bad time because it's going to work, but you're going to have a difficult time later, as mentioned, when you do things like upgrades and uninstalls, just because of the differences between that, how the two work. Chocolatey manages a Chocolatey package, not a piece of software. So when you've got a package that manages more than one piece of software, when you do something to a package, you might do something to more than one piece of software. It, it's just a shift in mindset there. So something to be cognizant of when you're doing this stuff. If you're really bolting a whole bunch of pieces of software together in a PSADT app, you're probably going to want to change to a more chocolatey focused dependency model in those situations. But for today, in the sake of this webinar, um, we're going to focus on really simple PSADT apps. It's kind of one to one. There's one app to one package, and you're done. Super, super simple. So that's our metadata for this template. And if we look in our tools folder, we also have an install script um, for this particular uh, package. And again, we've got some template values in here for that package name lower. That's going to be the ID of the chocolatey package when you run that chocolate new command. And then everything else kind of wraps the PSADT stuff. So we're still going to run PSADT pretty much exactly the same way you're used to today, but Chocolate is going to do the work for you. We support all the same things as PSAppDeployToolkit does here. So we've got some valid deploy modes, interactive, silent, and non-interactive. And James, these modes are actually pretty interesting, right? So can you speak to um, the three different types here?
Sure. So, I mean, a direct comparison could be essentially the various ways you're going to invoke MSI installers. And MSI installers aren't the only thing you can use here. But specifically in PSADT, you're looking at interactive, non-interactive, and silent, as we have there. And the basic thing to bear in mind is, whether or not you think your user should be seeing what's going to be happening, and whether or not you want them to be able to change things that are happening. So if you're providing all the arguments, you don't want the user to see anything, you don't want the user to be able to defer things, then using something like silent or non-interactive is the right way to go. And if you just want to get things installed, silent is well, it's my favorite. Let's be honest.
Yeah, yeah. And you mentioned the word deferments. That's probably one of the more powerful features of PS Deploy Toolkit is the ability to allow your end users to defer the installation of an application a set number of times, right? So the default's to three. They can defer three times before they're forced to click install. on a particular piece of software, which is great. So what we've done in our template here is we've defaulted the deploy mode to interactive so that we get that deferment modal that pops up that you're probably all used to. Now, uh, because Chocolatey supports something called package parameters, and we're leveraging that here on uh, line 5, just because we default the package to using interactive doesn't mean you have to stick to that when you go to install it. So when you're installing a particular package, you can say, hey, set the deploy mode to silent, and you won't get that deferment option. Or set that to non interactive, and you'll get some pop ups. It really depends on what the installer does in those situations, and what your options are there with the non interactive versus interactive stuff. Um, so we've given you some flexibility there. Um, and we also want to make sure that when a user clicks that defer button, that the package doesn't get marked as successfully installed, right? Because Chocolatey manages Chocolatey packages and not software, we don't want the package to be successful without the actual software being installed. And the way to do that is if a user clicks defer, we need to capture that exit code and throw an error that says, hey, the package didn't actually work because the user didn't click install. They deferred it. So uh, this install script handles all of that, and that happens down here. So we start that process kicking off the PS1 file from PSAppDeployToolkit with all the arguments, etc. But we capture that into a process object. That way we can inspect the exit code afterwards. And we've got this real big list. It's a hash table of all the various exit codes that PSAppDeployToolkit deploy, or provides. And then we just say, hey, if the exit code wasn't 0, if it was one of these, throw that particular error so that in the Chocolatey log, you know what happened and what's going on. Right. So in the case of a user clicking defer, that's going to cause this 612 error to be thrown. And you'll see that in the log. Now, if something happens weird where the exit code wasn't 0, meaning success, and it wasn't an error code that PSADT recognizes, we need to throw a more generic error in that case, and that's what we do here. Um, and one of the other features of Chocolatey that we need to worry about is the concept of shimming. So a Chocolatey package doesn't really, again, because it's PowerShell, it doesn't need to install an application. It can be anything at once. So you could have just, an executable inside of your package, and Chocolatey will happily shim that onto your path so that you can just open up a PowerShell window or a command prompt and type uh, the name of that CLI tool, and it just open. Putty is a really, really good example of that. So putty.exe is a Chocolatey package. You have the executable in the package and nothing else. You don't even need any PowerShell scripts, just the executable. Chocolatey will shim that onto the path, and then the next time that you open your PowerShell session or your command prompt and you type putty, that application is going to open. So, not knowing what your PS app deploy application is going to look like or have inside of it, we want to prevent Chocolatey from shimming any executables or installers or things that Chocolatey looks for to shim. Um, we don't want any of that to happen when you're installing that application as a Chocolatey package. So the very last line of our install script here just removes all of those installer files from the tools directory of the package so that none of that shimming happens, which also has a knock-on effect of keeping the installation directory or the package directory nice and tidy and small as well. And package reducer, one of the features of Chocolatey for Business, will further um, reduce the size of that package as well. So uh, a couple of little housekeeping items have been done inside of this template as well. Um, but that's pretty much it. It's really not overly complex, but there were some considerations that we had to take in order to make sure that the PS App Deploy application worked nicely inside of a chocolatey package, right? And James, I can see that you're wanting
Edging
to
to
add
just want to
yes,
add. Well, yeah. So
you want
okay,
to add
first up,
two.
I do actually the thing I was mostly just going to say was we've got a request to just enable word wrap on VS Code so people can see the edges of the script, um,
Oh, yeah.
which is just fun. Again,
Yeah,
housekeeping in this case. Um, Lovely, thank you. Um,
absolutely.
and yeah, it's a pretty simple script overall, and just yeah, it handle well. Sorry, a pretty simple template, I guess. And you could go much further, much deeper. We're going to go into a slightly different template in a bit, but
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. So let's actually see what this process looks like, right? Now, as part of the resources that you'll receive via that email after this webinar concludes, you're going to want a way to easily convert those PSAppDeploy applications into Chocolatey packages, right? It's not going to be enough to say Chaka new, do all the stuff, use your template, and then have to do some work. That's doable, right? But hopefully, we're all PowerShell people here, or at least not afraid to run a little PowerShell to make our lives a little bit easier. So what we have done is we've already written a script for you called Convert to Chocolatey Package, which does exactly what it says on the tin. It takes a PSAppDeploy application and converts it to a chocolatey package based on that template. So a couple of pieces of information are required. We need the ID of the chocolatey package, but we define that automatically for you based on the folder name of the PSADT application. So on my particular box here, if we were to look, let me go back up a directory. If we go to this D directory, in this PSADT apps folder, we've got this um, 7-zip application that we've already created, right? So um, we'll use that as the application that we're going to convert. Now, by default, my script is automatically going to call the chocolatey package 7-zip. Now, if you want to, you can provide the ID and give it your own, but we don't particularly have to in this case. So I'm going to open up actually, you know what? We can probably just do it right here so we don't have to move windows. So I'm going to clear this screen out, make this a little bit bigger, and then we'll go through the rest of these parameters as I'm calling the script. So because I'm in this directory, ooh, you know what? I'm going a little bit off script. So I'm going to set my execution policy inside of here to bypass just so everything works the way I expect it to. I'm going to say convert to chocolatey package. Now, again, I don't have to supply ID because it will automatically be found out by this. So I will say the PSADT apps 7-zip. Now I'm going to want to store this package in a special place. It's going to be easier for me to find it later. Uh, by default, it's going to store the finished package in the current working directory, which is here on the desktop in this PSADT webinar folder. I don't want it to be there. I want it to be in something a little clearer. So I'm going to say be converted. And Chocolate is going to create that converted folder for me as part of the process. Now, I need to provide the name of the template. Um, we didn't add in an argument completer or anything like that to this script to automatically pull all the template names. Uh, we've got it, but in the essence of time and testing, I'm just going to manually say PSADT v4, and then we need to provide, again, we talked about those replacement values that we need to provide. So uh, that is going to be supplied via a hash table to where I can supply all of those values to the template. So the first thing that I'm going to provide is that package version. Now, I happen to know that the version of 7-zip that I'm installing here is 2024.0.9, and I want the title to be 7-zip. And then for the organization, think it ain't working this morning. Organization, we're going to call this, we'll just call it Acme Corp because why not? It sounds like fun. Um, Now, additionally, by default, the script is not going to compile the package into a fully working chocolatey package. Get that enough keg. Um, but you can if you provide the compile package script. So we're going to do that here and we're going to run this. And that's going to go off and it's going to create that chocolatey package for us at that deconverted directory. So if I were to say deconverted,
Just an aside as well, if
yep,
anyone was curious about any more stuff around these templates, including how to use these template arguments, we did some streams, I believe, last Christmas around exactly that.
yes.
So if you were curious, then there are videos up on YouTube around that.
Yeah, that's a good point, James. What we can do, we'll include specific links to those YouTube videos as part of the README in the repository for uh, for the resources after the web stream. So that's a good shout.
We will absolutely include those resources as that's the question.
Yeah.
Hey, Dan. We've got an anonymous question, which I'm pretty sure must be Corey, which just says, "What is a new peg?" I'm of the opinion new package won that fight a while ago. I think that's secretly a Chocolatey employee
No,
right there. Monsters.
act, actually, funny story. The appropriate pronunciation of a chocolatey package is nup keg, uh, and I can say that because Paul is not here to yell at me.
Absolutely. Sorry, an apology to Dan Cunningham there, who's asked, just for clarity, unless he's missed something, the convert to Chocolatey package script will take an existing PSADDC script and wrap it in this wrapper for use in Chocolatey. It doesn't convert specifically a PSADT deployment script and its ADT functions to a Chocolatey deployment script format. That is correct.
That
Yes.
that is correct. Yeah. So we are just a way to take a look at the shape of this package now that it's been converted to a chocolatey package. So if we look at the, I wish I could. Can I zoom explore? Can I make this bigger?
I guess you can use. You could absolutely use the zoom tool, but I don't think Explorer supports zooming on the fly. You'd need to adjust your DPI.
Yeah, yeah. Do I have here? Let me draw. Oh, geez, out. That's absolutely massive.
Yep.
Let's make that a little bit smaller, shall we? Can I do that? Okay, there we go. Let's put this in here. Is that a little bit better? I hope so. So inside of the converted folder, we have two things. We have the 7-zip chocolatey package itself. This is all the stuff that chocolatey needs to be a fully working chocolatey package. So we've got that new spec file and we've got our tools directory. And inside of the tools directory, you'll notice that we have the 7-zip folder. That is the PSADT application. So all of the stuff that you already had existing for your PSADT app has been copied into the package. And then the install script, and we can really quickly, we'll just open this in Notepad. so that we can see it. And I'm going to kill this um, magnifier because I can zoom inside of here, I believe. Let's just make this a little bit bigger. Sorry, there are too many like key combinations to remember when I do this stuff. So now you can see that based on our template, everything's the same based on that template that we just went over. The only difference here is we have um, defined this child path for the ADT folder. So where is the ADT application that we're going to invoke? It's now in the tools directory called 7-zip because we copied that over as part of running that convert to Chocolatey package script. And then the rest is exactly as we
Yeah.
discussed already and the
I,
template. We're going to launch PowerShell with the script, etc., etc.
I think you were going to mention this another time, but as somebody has just asked, I figure we'll just mention it now. This template is indeed for v4, but I believe Stevie has some examples of v3 that he
Yeah.
was going to include in the repository
So
after the stream.
yeah, so I do have some V3 stuff that I will be putting in the repository uh, in terms of templates and things like that. So the convert script will work for both. It's exactly the same process. The only thing that will be different is the template is going to have a different shape to the install script based on V3 or V4. So yes, everything we're seeing today is for V4, but V3 stuff we will have as part of the resources as well. I just didn't get a chance to throw it in the repo here real quick before we kick this off. So um, that will be available, and the README inside of the repository that you'll get inside of the resources will have all the information on how to do the V3 stuff, but it's really identical to the V4 stuff that we're seeing today. So now that we've got this chocolatey package created, we've used this convert script. Let's go ahead and install this 7-zip application, shall we? So I'm going to clear my screen and I'm going to, just for no smoke and mirrors going on here, click start, look at my applications. I don't see it there. If I run appwiz.cpl and we look at the programs and features, I don't have 7-zip installed. So now what we're going to do is we're going to say Choco install 7-zip-y, and I'm going to explicitly provide the source, and I'm being lazy and using -s. I could say source equals, and then do that deconverted directory like this, so that we use that 7-zip nutcag that we just generated explicitly instead of going to like our chocolate community repository accidentally, or the repository that's configured on your system in your environment. So we'll use this explicitly. It's going to take a second to actually get the ball rolling and start stuff, just because it's got to copy a bunch of stuff around to the tools directory, etc. PSADT starts doing its thing. We start to get those deferments, or that pop-up box that says, "Hey, do you want to install this, or do you want to defer?" For the sake of demonstration here, for the first thing, we're going to do a deferment, and you'll notice that we get an error. The user has clicked, or in my case, I have clicked defer, and our error says that, right? Either a prompt timed out or a user clicked defer. That chocolatey package has failed, which is exactly what we wanted, and we still don't have that 7-zip application installed. So I'm going to rerun it again. And again, it's going to take a second to do its thing here. It's going to minimize, and this time you'll notice that my deferments has gone down. I clicked it once, so I've got 2 left, but this time I actually want to install it. So I'm going to click install. It's going to do its thing. If I click on my start button now, I've got 7-zip. And if I look in here and I refresh this, now I've got 7-zip. Now, I come back here, scroll all the way to the bottom. You can see we've got a successful installation of this package. Now we can uninstall, and uninstall has some interesting bits to it, right, James? Talk talk to me
It
about
does.
uninstalls. Talk to me
Sorry, I've been
about
sitting on mute because I've
uninstalls.
been typing answers to things,
Oh, it's
which
fine.
I hope are all right.
Oh,
So
totally
yeah, so
fine.
in terms of uninstalls, obviously, yeah, we provide the ability to do a Chocolatey uninstall script. In a lot of cases, you don't actually need to do that, which is super nice because we've got the auto uninstaller.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, if you do end up needing something more than that, because that's essentially using the differences recorded during install, then you're going to want to use something more like, for example, a Chocolatey uninstall script that would then either call the PSADT uninstall or clean up in other ways. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, yep. So in this case, what we can do is just do choco uninstall 7-zip -y. And because we didn't include an uninstall script as part of our Chocolatey template, there is no uninstall script um, in the package. So Chocolatey is just going to use auto uninstaller to uninstall that 7-zip application. And now you can see we don't have 7-zip in our list of applications here. And if we go back to add and remove programs, 7-zip is now gone. So that's a nice feature of Chocolatey. You don't really have to worry about the uninstallation of a piece of or a piece of software. Um, Chocolatey uninstall scripts are, I like to call them the inverse of an action during install. So for for example, maybe as part of installing an application, you copied a file to a location on disk, or you set a registry key, or made a firewall rule, or something like that. Um, by default, if you just Choco uninstall that package and auto uninstaller removes that piece of software, that file's still there, or that registry key is still set, or that firewall rule is still in place. That's where you would use an uninstall script. You would do the inverse of whatever you did in the install. Now, in the case of PSADT, you might have particular logic that your uninstall stuff uses, so you might want to do that work as part of your Chocolatey package. So, um, included in the repository, but not as part of the template, is a Chocolatey uninstall .ps1. Now, you'll have to be careful, and this will be called out in the repository. If you make it part of the template, like copy this to the template, and you don't have to do anything else. Um, but if you are going to add this to a package after the fact, do take note of line 3 here, that you will need to change this package name lower to whatever you've named the ID of the Chocolatey package. And this is exactly the same script as the install script is inside of that template. The only difference is that the deploy method, or the deployment type, as part of the PowerShell arguments, has been changed from an install to an uninstall. That way, the uninstall logic of your PSADT app has been triggered when you uninstall the Chocolatey package. Now, again, auto uninstaller is going to remove the application. That might cause problems. Um, with the PSADT stuff, it might interfere a little bit because PSADT might say, "Hey, the software's already gone." Um, so there might be some trial and error there, but for the most part, it should just pick it up and run it and be fine. Um, you can also, just to mention it, you can provide the skip auto uninstall command line argument to Chocolatey so that um, we skip the auto uninstaller functionality when you're uninstalling a piece or a Chocolatey package, so that um, if you're using an uninstall script with the PSADT stuff, um, it there's nothing to interfere. It just works. And the same kind of thing with the interactive, silent, all that stuff works just the same. So yeah, that's uninstalling stuff. Um,
Just to jump onto the end of the uninstall bit, we had a question
mhm.
from Pamela Chambers who asks, to clarify, we would still be required to create two separate Chocolatey packages, one for install and one for uninstall. And as clarity there, I'd like to just say you'd actually just have two scripts that would be in one Chocolatey package. So the only real difference there is that you would have this additional script being
Yeah.
added to your package, and that
Yep.
shouldn't affect anything.
Exactly. Yep.
And to jump on the auto installer chat, you can also add a file to your package, which would prevent that from running instead of having to provide a command line argument every time.
Yeah. What is that file called? It's skip auto uninstall, like dot skip auto uninstaller.
I
I
think
think
that's the one.
is is
And
that
just,
yeah.
yeah, an additional question that's just come in that I'll cover while you're setting up for this next bit is what are shims? And shims are essentially a method that Chocolatey uses to prevent polluting the path variable too much. So we've got a single folder that's on a path, on path even, and we use that to basically put in essentially um, shortcuts is a very bad word for this. Stevie, can you think of a better word to describe shims?
Um, think of it like it's kind of like a symbolic link on on Linux, but not.
Yeah, it does some
So
additional stuff to basically be able to pass through a working directory that is the appropriate one rather than one you've got.
yeah,
And we've
yeah,
got a request for zooming that window in as well.
yeah,
Symbolic links that just work. Copyright Rob, apparently. So
yeah.
there we go.
Symbolic links that just work. Yes, that's a good one. So, um, well, I've got 15 minutes, so I can go off script a little bit here. So let me go. That's the Microsoft app. I don't want to. Let's go here. Let's go to download putty. I just want the X. Yeah, I just want this. That's fine. Perfect. So I can get rid of this. CD. Let's go to D converted just because it's a small folder and easy. So let's do Choco, new putty. Right. So this is how a shim works. So if I were to go in here and take all of this stuff out, let me put the tools folder back. Go. Doing it on the fly because why not? All right. So putting. We're just going to make a version number up 1.2.3, and then we're just going to make some information up here that I don't need.
Stevie, just a reminder to
Yep.
zoom once again, please.
Yeah, I will
Sorry.
zoom. That's that's too many zooms. Right, there we go. some stuff, and then showing off a shim, and then we can save this. Do I need anything there? I'm going to get rid of that as well. Okay, that should be fine. Let's go. I'll go back. Oh, oops. Aha. Doing things on the fly every time. Every time. Chocolate. Very good. Now, I don't have putty installed. I have this executable, but in order for it to work, I have to know where it's at. I have to double click it. And like if I come in here and I say putty, like it doesn't work, right? So what I can do, let me make sure. Okay, I did pack it. So say Choco install putty. That's why. And I'm going to shortcut. I'm going to install putty from the chocolatey package I just made. You'll notice that it says Shimjin has successfully created a shim for putty.exe. Now, if I type putty, putty opens. Magic. That is what a shim is. And if we look, we can go to program data, chocolatey, our lib directory. If we look at the putty folder, inside of the tools directory, we have that executable. This is where the magic happens. So when you install Chocolatey, it adds the C program data Chocolatey bin directory to your path so that any executable that's inside of here, you can just magically type it on the command line and then it opens. So in this case, Notepad++ is on there because uh, the installer like was inside of the package that so it shimmed it. But putty's in there now, and then we've got this refresh environment. Uh, that file is in there as well, so that if you are doing things inside of your chocolatey package that affect your path. Uh, if you've got it set up in your, and this is going like way off script, but if you've got the chocolatey stuff set up in your PowerShell profile, it allows you to type in refresh environment and it does all the stuff. Now, I don't have it set up, so
Yeah.
it's giving you this message.
Yeah,
But in
that
command prompt, it will refresh your path without having to like close and reopen your shell.
yes.
That's the magic.
So to answer a couple of live things, gosh, okay, yeah, sorry, I shouldn't say answer live before we've answered them. Stevie, would you mind showing off a package parameter in our template, just really quickly? I feel like that's on or in script at least.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah,
So I'm back to here where we've been installing 7-zip, and let me just make sure I don't have 7-zip installed. So we have done it before with interactively installing 7-zip. We did a deferment. We saw how that produced an error, and we've done it interactively where we clicked install and saw that we got PSADT, and then we uninstalled 7-zip and saw that it went away. So what we can also do is Choco install 7-zip. So we'll do it the same exact way, but this time I don't want that pop-up to happen. So what I'm going to say is package parameters equals, and I'm going to say deploy mode equals, and in quotes, I'm going to put silent, and then I'll close our quotes. So it's important that the values get quoted. So um, in terms of package parameters inside of the PowerShell scripts, so if we were to open this, um, this function here, this get package parameters, turns this input into a hash table. That's the magic that's happening here. So slash deploy mode silent becomes a hash table where deploy mode is the key and then silent is the value. And then if you just have like slash deploy or something like that, if there's just it's one sided, there's no equals something else. Um, that evaluates in the hash table as a boolean. So it would be slash deploy mode equals true or something like that. Um, so that's how that works. So in this particular case, what's going to happen is the 7-zip application is going to install silently. We're not going to get that modal that pops up that says, "Hey, do you want to defer or do you want to install?" It just works right like that. Now we have, if we were to go to our application again, we've now got that 7-zip application installed. Package parameters is super powerful. This is just one way that you can then use package parameters. It, with PSAppDeployToolkit stuff here that allows you to override the deployment mode. Um, if you've got other packages that you need to, provide a license key or a connection string or a server name or some sort of something that the installation needs, you can use package parameters for that. Um, if you need to, you can even provide package parameters dash sensitive, which will prevent anything that you pass from getting put into the log file. So if you've got like a license key or a connection string or a server name or a password or anything like that, that you want to pass on the command line at runtime to install or upgrade an application or uninstall, doesn't matter where you use it. That stuff doesn't persist into the log files, which is super awesome. Um, from a security perspective. So I've got a couple of minutes left in the stream here. I want to make sure that we don't have any other questions. And then I do want to mention a couple of upcoming product releases. One that just happened. So, and this is more of a nice for me and my team. But if you're a Chocolatey for Business customer and you're using the Chocolatey Agent service with our Chocolatey Central Management product, we've just released a new version of the Chocolatey Agent that includes some troubleshooting tools for the support team to be able to help you resolve issues should you have any with things like a deployment getting stuck or deployment not starting or an agent not reporting in. Um, we've been given some additional tooling by the engineering team to help us troubleshoot those issues for you to come to a resolution faster. Um, it's something that you'll have to reach out to us via support ticket to be able to get and then use. But we now have some extra tools that will make troubleshooting issues should you encounter them quite a bit easier. So I'm very much excited about that. And then also of note this quarter, we are very hard at work, the engineering team, at producing a version of Chocolatey Central Management that is WCAG compliant. So accessibility. I don't remember what the exact acronym is, but it's accessibility guidelines. So basically, the long and short of it is the next version of central management is going to work with things like screen readers, etc., which is super awesome. I'm really glad to see that happen. I'm sure that there will be more work to be done in that area as we move along. But we are in the final stages of development of that. So I'm hopeful that this quarter we will see the release of Chocolate Central Management with that WCAG stuff inside of it, or WCAG, or however you say that acronym. I have no idea. I just know it's accessibility stuff. It's going to work with screen readers. It's going to be really, really good. I'm really, really excited about it. That's going to be fantastic for our customers that need um, those assistive devices. Um, so
It's the
do
Web
we
Content
have?
Accessibility Guidelines for what it's worth.
Thank you,
We had a
thank you.
couple of last questions, but with three
Sure.
minutes to go, I'm not sure we're going to be able to make a dent. The first one's from Manfred,
Okay.
and he asks, given an organization with a few hundred Windows machines and having currently both Chocolatey as well as SCCM with basically a 90+% PSApp deploy toolkit based package
Mhm.
ratio, I guess, each with approximately 500 unique packages, how would you approach moving to one of the two systems? E.g., using Chocolatey and SCCM packages, or magically converting the existing SCCM packages to Chocolatey?
Um, very carefully, right? So I think for me, if the goal was to standardize on Chocolatey moving forward, I would start with the low hanging fruit. What are the PS app deploy applications that are super simple? This is an MSI with no bells and whistles. Let's convert that to a Chocolatey package. Maybe as a first pass by using this convert stuff that we've shown off in the webinar today that allows you to start leveraging Chocolatey as the deployment mechanism inside of SCCM without having to reinvent the wheel with the PSADT stuff. And then in the future, um, using package builder to convert those MSIs to Chocolatey packages and then publishing that next version of the Chocolatey package. The nice thing with that approach is you don't have to change anything in SCCM because if you've converted your PSADT app to a Chocolatey package and you've set SCCM to just use Chocolatey to install that application, when it's fully converted to a Chocolatey package, meaning the ADT stuff is gone, you don't have to change SCCM because you've already done it, right? It's already Choco install whatever, or Choco upgrade whatever, or Choco uninstall whatever. That part's been done for you. So I would suggest moving slow through those things and leaning on Chocolatey's templating architecture and extending or stealing the code from and redoing it for different package types, right? So you might have um, ADT apps that have MSIs with a transform. You might create a Chocolatey package that handles transform files during its install, and slowly move those packages over. It's going to be effort and it's going to be time. And if you've got a Chocolatey support contract with us and you're a Chocolatey for Business customer, put in support tickets along the way so that my team can help you. Either in writing that conversion code or troubleshooting errors that you get as you convert those packages.
Manfred knows the ways to contact us,
Yeah.
even if I'm
Yep.
terrible at responding.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we do have one more question, but we are at time.
Yeah. I think I can answer this question. So, let's see. So the question is, how do we handle interactive PSADT deployments through Chocolatey Central Management? PSADT by default will see it stuck in session 0 and force the deployment to non-interactive. I've used Service UI before, but the Chocolatey local admin accounts ends up running the session itself, so the user still doesn't see the interactive prompts. Yes, in my testing of this template stuff and trying to get things to work, um, I did notice that background mode likes to swallow the um, the prompt basically because Chocolatey local admin is the actual user that's running the install. So the session 0 stuff is trying to show the modal to Chocolatey local admin and not the user that's logged in. So say Bob. Um, that is a challenge. Think um, I think there's a way around it, but I wasn't able to fully test it. And I know that Chocolatey has issues in some cases with running the Chocolatey local admin services system. But I think running the Chocolatey local admin services system will mimic the way that um, both Intune and SCCM deploy software to a device. Um, and the deployment will show the modal to the currently logged in user because session 0 will be whoever's running Explorer on the device. Again, I haven't tested that. I don't know. That's my theory, though. Your mileage may vary.
Dan also says Dan Cunningham, that is, who's the one of the two founders, as far as I'm aware, of PSADT, says to not worry about service UI because they'll eradicate the need for that in 4.1. And the changes between 4 and 3 are pretty significant. So if you're not already running 4, you should strongly consider it. And you'll be able to use that for free.
Yep. Awesome. All right, folks. Well, we are at time. As mentioned, I am going to be providing it, or you will be provided with an email from us with a link to the GitHub repository, which are README in it with all the information from today, all the scripts from today, all the templates from today, including the V3 stuff. I hope y'all have found this at least a little bit useful. Um, I had fun doing it. I hope you had fun hanging out. James, thanks for fielding, I'm sure, a lot of questions that I didn't see because I can see the answered and dismissed question count is very high compared to the number of questions that I actually answered on the stream. So thank you very much for fielding those and for the rest of the team that was doing work behind the scenes. Um,
Sorry if I was a bit quiet
we
because of the typing.
Oh, no, it's fine. It's totally fine. The next stream will be in May, where we will be unwrapping Chocolatey GUI and everything that you can do with our self-service uh, application for installing Chocolatey packages similar to Software Center and Company Portal. We hope you can join us there. And, we'll provide a link to register for that one in the coming days. Thank you all for joining us, and we will see you next time. Take care.